I 100% agree that the United States owes the black community reparations, and this is why. It's not about white people owing black people. It's not about white people being punished for the sins of our ancestors. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about white people standing in solidarity with a community that has suffered grave, egregious injustices at the hands of the United States government. But first, we must decenter ourselves in this conversation, alienate ourselves from our privilege, and hold the United States institutions and systems accountable for the wrongs that they never rectified. From slavery to black codes, to convict leasing, to Jim Crow segregation, to anti-black housing policies, to mass incarceration, we have never rectified our wrongs.
And I will aver that we will not, as a country, ever psychologically heal from the wound of slavery until we pay reparations. Now, let's talk about numbers. There are roughly 44 million black people in the United States, and about 90% of them can prove that they are descended from slaves. So if we were to give every single one of those people who can prove they're descended from a slave a $10,000 tax-free check, we are talking about about $400 billion. That's less than 6% of our annual federal budget. And it would be a one-time thing. Now, $10,000 is not compensation. It's not enough to actually cover for the damages done by slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, the institutionalized racism in our justice system, and the myriad of other things that black people have experienced. So it's not compensation. It is simply a gesture to say, man, we were wrong and we are very sorry.
Family, the topic of reparations has always been very controversial in America. Recently, when you told a white person that they and the government of the United States of America should pay for reparations, many a times what they told us was that they did not enslave any black person, and the black folks who were enslaved are already dead. So why should they pay this generation of black people? That has been the constant thing that many white folks have been asking. But family, right now we are seeing a different group of white people who are coming up and saying that black folks truly deserve reparations. Black folk need the reparations because they are still being affected by what was started during the days of slavery. And family, many of these white folks are coming out and calling out other white people who are actually against reparations, and they are telling the government of the United States of America that they should pay reparations. So fam, I want you to watch this video as white folks call out other white people on the issue of reparations. Family, in a special way, I want to thank all my subscribers who are supporting me through buying me a coffee. The link is on the description. You guys are showing me overwhelming love. I do not take that for granted. Let's watch the video together, family.
To my white brothers and sisters, I'm not politically correct. I tell it like it is. When I hear someone say go back to your country, it's always from a white person directed at a black or brown person. But that makes no sense because our ancestors weren't from here, and we stole this land, and we're still colonizing it. And when I hear black and indigenous and people of color talk about reparations, I hear a white person in the background yelling reverse racism. But that makes no sense because white people have never been and are not being oppressed based on their race. So white people, I have a question. Why are you so afraid of losing your position in society? Why are you so afraid of losing the comfort that white supremacy has given you? Why are you so afraid of actual equality? Learn up.
So we're talking about the de-MAGAification of America, which will happen one day, I hope. And I'll make special note that the MAGA people have really enjoyed this series so far. And they'll like today, too. Part 5 of the things we should do is financial reparations. Now, I realize this is a very complicated subject, but we should pay reparations for anyone who's been harmed by slavery in the last 400 years. which means if you're the descendant of a slave, you should receive reparations. And I'll make note that a lot of people have called out Native Americans. I agree, they still are due more. They have received some reparations, not enough. The Japanese who were interned during World War II received $20,000 apiece. Not enough, but at least it was something from the government to make the apology mean something and to make it hurt, which it should. And I will aver that we will not, as a country, ever psychologically heal from the wound of slavery until we pay reparations. Now, let's talk about numbers. There are roughly 44 million black people in the United States, and about 90% of them can prove that they are descended from slaves. So if we were to give every single one of those people who can prove they're descended from a slave a $10,000 tax-free check, we are talking about about $400 billion. That's less than 6% of our annual federal budget. And it would be a one-time thing. Now, $10,000 is not compensation. It's not enough to actually cover for the damages done by slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, the institutionalized racism in our justice system, and the myriad of other things that black people have experienced. So it's not compensation. It is simply a gesture to say, man, we were wrong and we are very sorry, and this hurts, but here you go. By the way, as a side note, this would probably be an incredible stimulus to our economy. Now, a lot of white people are going to react to this. They're going to complain. But it's a conversation that needs to be had. We need to recognize the privilege that we've gotten as a white, cisgendered, heterosexual male. I have had an enormous amount of privilege in my life that I didn't really recognize until the last 10 years or so. I have not had to work as hard as my black coworkers to get to the level of success that I have achieved. Has that been worth $10,000? Quite possibly. And we can't just mail people a check. It should come with a certificate of apology from the U.S. government with possibly the names of the people who were enslaved and the names of the slaveholders who owned them. It would be a meaningful thing that could be framed and hung in someone's house. And there should be a ceremony that is optional for anyone to attend where they can be given this from a government official. Because we need to be ashamed of our history, and we need to express that shame in something that is meaningful and painful. And until we do, that shame is going to express itself as resentment and hatred. And once we do this and hold ourselves accountable, we can lock arms, black and white, and move forward together proudly. Many people in my comments have said it's too late to do this. No, it's not. We should have done it how long ago? 100 years ago? 150 years ago? And it's not too late, and we have to do it, or else movements like the Trump movement are going to continue happening. Because racism hurts all of us, even us white people, and we should make sure that the South never rises again.
I 100% agree that the United States owes the black community reparations, and this is why. It's not about white people owing black people. It's not about white people being punished for the sins of our ancestors. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about white people standing in solidarity with a community that has suffered grave, egregious injustices at the hands of the United States government. But first, we must decenter ourselves in this conversation, alienate ourselves from our privilege, and hold the United States institutions and systems accountable for the wrongs that they never rectified. From slavery to black codes to convict leasing to Jim Crow segregation to anti-black housing policies to mass incarceration, we have never rectified our wrongs as a country. If you look at our criminal justice system, 1 in 3 black males carry convicted felon label. That is a real stat. Is it because they're inherently evil, or they just need more personal accountability? Or is there something larger at play? All the data shows by every statistical measure The black community has been disproportionately impacted by every institution or system in the United States, from education to healthcare to criminal justice system to banking to housing, which we still have de jure segregation in effect today. And when it comes to housing, neither parties are absolved from this because both parties were responsible for the de jure segregation that we see today. The New Deal by Franklin Roosevelt didn't invent the segregationist practice of housing, but it did institutionalize it. Restricting access to capital for black families while enriching white families, the big reason why we see the generational wealth gap we see today. And remember, public housing wasn't initially for poor people, it was for working class white families. But because of laws and policies implemented by the United States government, it reinforced segregation because public housing was to reflect the racial composition of the existing neighborhood. And we had redlining and gentrification of neighborhoods, the residual effects of all these policies that we still see today. Reparations is about rebuilding and investing in the black community. Our government was held accountable to some extent for the grave injustices that we committed, the atrocities that we committed against Native Americans. We were also held accountable for the Japanese internment camps. But the United States government never made good on its 40 acres and a mule to the black community. Everybody else got paid. The United States was held accountable for these injustices. I'm a convicted felon. I had to pay a debt to society, to the United States government, to the state of Florida, for the crimes that I committed. I was held accountable. To this day, my past is still being used against me. In fact, if I were to go before a judge today, the first thing he would do is bring up my past and say it's probably a pretty good indicator of what my future will be. But we don't keep that same energy for our government. We don't hold them to the same level of accountability and to the same level of scrutiny. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know anybody, you're absolutely right. But our government does. And as citizens of the United States who uphold the Constitution, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to hold our government accountable. As taxpayers, as citizens of the United States, we all pay, not just white people. Anytime there's an injustice in the United States by a government agency, whether it's the police department, sheriff's department, any government agency, the taxpayers are always the ones that foot the bill. Why? Because in America, we believe in justice, or at least we say we do. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, I'm sure we can all agree that our government is corrupt. Stop allowing them to make us turn on each other. What better way to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters than to advocate to make right what has been wrong and never been rectified? People ask me all the time, what are my solutions to the problems that I speak on? Well, I can assure you that this would be a step in the right direction. This is the pathway forward. Reparations in America today.
So should white people pay reparations for slavery?
I think the question is really more so what can white people do rather than just reparations, because obviously I would say yes, but would that really benefit them? I think that's a conversation that needs to be had to then best respond to the issues that they're facing.
The real reason white people want to erase the history of slavery is because given the chance, they would absolutely do it again. While not all of us subscribe to this system, a lot do. That's why they like our current president, because he consistently, without fail, reinforces the hierarchy of white people on top, followed by everybody else. Of native citizens on top, followed by everybody else. I consider white supremacy to be one of the most dangerous domestic threats in the United States. Because if you didn't know, there are estimated this many active members in white supremacist organizations. People like your pastor, your neighbor, maybe someone you've seen giving looks to people of color, but not necessarily saying anything. White people try to downplay the effects of white supremacy, but it's significantly more people than they will admit. And those are just the people who are overtly racist and willing to label themselves as part of this organization, not even the other people who genuinely believe in it without speaking on it. Point being, erasing the history of slavery and erasing the horrible atrocities that happened in this country is a genuine crime. And it's intentional, because if it's erased, those patterns are going to repeat themselves. So erasing this history isn't just ignorant, it's malicious.
Oh my goddess, white people, leave black people alone about this plantation burning to the ground. Leave them alone. You don't get to tell them how to feel about it. You don't get to tell them how to react about it. Stop making videos about how sad it was that it burned down, and leave black people alone. Leave them alone. They have every right to feel their very valid feelings about this plantation burning down. Stop. You know what? Take this opportunity to learn something. Shut your mouth, open your ears, and listen to the videos and learn something. Practice a little empathy. God, white people are not okay. We are not okay.
Family, right now we are living in a time where white people are continuing to wake up and they are starting to call out injustices against black people. They are saying enough is enough because right now also racism is affecting the white folk. Everything is becoming expensive, including racism itself. And we are seeing a generation of white people who are getting an awakening and saying that whatever has been caused in Black America deserve to be paid through reparations. Black people have fought enough in America since the days of slavery. Right now, black folks are still fighting against racism and any other form of injustices, including discrimination, especially in the job market. Economically, black folks still do not get opportunities that white counterparts can get easily, even without the right qualification compared to the black person. When I see this group of white people come up and speak good of black people, it just makes me happy. When I see a white man talk against white supremacy, talk against racism, talk against a bad regime in the government led by white people, family, that makes me so happy because I did not think that such things would happen in this day and time, because many people nowadays do not care if something does not affect them. And historically, white folks have always supported supremacy. They've always supported racism. They've never been in support of reparations. So when I see these, that just makes me so happy. So white people are now demanding that blacks are given reparations. Historically, we've known what they've always said. Anytime you ask them to give out reparations, many a times white people usually mentioned and said that they did not enslave the group of black people that are alive today, and themselves, they were not there during the time of slavery. That has always been the constant argument that many white folks bring up. But right now we are seeing a woke generation of white people coming up and saying enough is enough, coming up and saying that the government of the United States of America deserve to pay black folks for whatever injustices they faced. This is not a plea, This is justice for black people to actually get this. This is about white people standing with a community that has faced horror, grief, injustices at the hands of the state of the United States of America, at the hands of the government of the United States of America, This is about now white people standing with a community which has faced horror. Family, imagine the horror, the grief, the trauma it has caused in black communities. Because imagine being born, then you find yourself in a community that is sidelined, a community that continuously faces racism, faces Jim Crow, mass incarceration. You'd wonder what is happening. These things to fruits that were actually started when slavery started, to the very foundation of America. The history, the white Americans and the white supremacist power structures do not want to talk about. They do not want to talk about the truth. They do not want to talk about the real history. They package slavery to be an issue that was good in the time, and that's what they're doing with education in America. They're trying to whitewash education in America. Seeing white folks demand for reparations for black people just amazes me. White people are now calling out each other on the wrongs they never rectified, from slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, anti-black housing policies. Look at the criminal justice system today. These things are still targeting black people. And you'd wonder, at what level would these white supremacists think, or rather actually see, that enough is enough? Even today, black people are still facing problems with the criminal justice system. Look at the policing in America right now. Look at how the police department is handling black people. That just shows you that most of these people are not seeing, whatever they perpetuated in black communities over the years, they are not getting satisfied. They do not see that as a problem. They are not ready to pay black people or even say, I'm sorry for whatever we've been doing over the years. You'd wonder. That's why when I see the white folks doing this right now, I'm just so grateful that God is finally opening their eyes. Black community has been negatively impacted by every institution, systems like education, healthcare, criminal justice system, banking, and housing over the years. Imagine how black people have suffered there. And family, there's one thing that I tell people. This world is so spiritual. Human life is so spiritual. The human race is actually very spiritual. So if white people still are not ready to pay for reparations, the one thing that they should know is that the wrath of God is a serious one. This group of white people who are now asking the government of America to pay reparations are actually God sent, because the wrath that is yet to face America, specifically because of slavery and whatever black people are still facing in America today, is a crazy one. Family, the wrath will be a huge one. The punishment will be one that nobody would be able to run away from. Because you all are given an opportunity to treat black people better, but you still choose not to. The revelations you're seeing from this group of white people in this video is that God has sent them, to pass a message to white America and to the government of the United States of America that whatever has been perpetuated over the years in black communities in America is enough. It's time they get their reparation. It's time they be respected. It's time to call an end to any injustices against the black man. Reparation is about rebuilding, and investing in the black community. The government should be accountable to blacks for the atrocities caused. This is just about accountability. And it's about rebuilding and investing in a people you broke. What is wrong with building them? A people you took and broke? A people you snatched away from their ways of life? You snatched them from their culture. You snatched them from whatever they had special in the time, from their families. You broke them. You killed them. You raped them. You've done a lot to the black man. It's time that you rebuild them. It's time that now you invest in them, because you destroyed them. Descendants of the slaves should actually receive reparations. America will not heal from the wounds of slavery until they pay reparations. Actually, 90% of blacks in America can prove their descendancy, from slaves. Reparations is not compensation. It can never be enough to cover for the damages caused by slavery, the Jim Crow, segregation, redlining. Reparations cannot pay for that. That is just an appreciation and telling people you're sorry. The trauma you've caused them. Because even if you were to pay each and every descendant of the enslaved Africans money, a lot of money, each of them, if you'd pay them $1 billion per person, you'd still not have taken away whatever the black people faced in America. That is just an appreciation and saying, you know what, we are sorry for whatever has been happening. And that is what we are demanding for. You should give black people reparations. When I see this group of white people doing that, talking about reparations, it just makes me so happy. We are on the step to a good direction. And family, the one thing I'm sure is that the wrath that is coming from above, from the heavens, is heavier than the trauma. It's heavier than the horror, the grief that black people went through during the days of slavery. Family, thank you so much for tuning to watch this episode. I do not take your support for granted. Kindly like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users. I'd also appreciate if you all took your time to comment and let me know what you think about the video. Guys, in especially, I'd also request you all to take your time to subscribe to the channel. We are currently at 28,000 subscribers, and guys, we intend to achieve the 50,000 mark before the end of the year. Family, I believe in you. I believe you believe in whatever I am doing. Black history, black empowerment, tell black stories the black way. Because family, if we give them, the white supremacists, an opportunity to tell our stories, we all know what has happened historically. They've whitewashed our story. So guys, if you believe in that and would want us to continue engaging and tell black stories in a good way, I request that you all do consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys. See you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.